All right, where's that live button? There it is, right there. All right, and this is thanks to Thalia right here. If you've got two boots, you've got two problems. Loyalties are put to the test this week on your Star Wars Safe Space. We're talking about Maul, episodes 3 and 4. Stick around. Where's the button? There it is. Let's go. Hey there, Star Warriors. Welcome to Star Wars Safe Space, your non-toxic, low-sodium Star Wars show that doesn't make you feel bad for not knowing that Two Boots designation, 2BOT or B0T, is literally a phonetic play on Two Boots, and his character was intentionally written as a counterpoint to Lawson. He was meant to be not a partner, but a foil to Lawson. So I love that layer of tension that they've thrown in. So again, it's just what makes this show so well. So whether you're a hardcore fan or just a little swarsy curious, this is your Star Wars Safe Space. Welcome. We are the Circle of Nerds, and we do absolutely love Star Wars, even when we don't always like it. So let's meet some of our nerdy friends here, shall we? So we're going to start off with the astrology Jedi herself joining us again for round 2. Thalia, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hello, thank you so much for having me. Glad to be back. Excited to talk about these 2 episodes.
Oh, they're so good. Where's Anakin tonight?
He just walked away from me, so
Oh,
I might be in trouble later. I don't know. We're gonna see. But I'm sure he'll be back. Also,
okay.
since I'm the resident astrologer here, I gotta say to everyone watching, even if you don't know astrology, congratulations for making it through this week. This is a very difficult week, astrologically speaking. Next week is also a little bit challenging. Probably some of the most tension we're going to have all year. So if anyone's having a hard week, it's not you. It could be you, but it's also the astrology. So I just want to say that because this week I think has been really difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah. Now, are you going to be talking more about that on your channel? Are you going to be addressing that?
I made a little video about it a couple days ago, and it's tough because usually when like really major astrological events are happening, I find a scene in Star Wars to kind of explain how I'm seeing the energy. This energy is so strong and so aggressive and so Aries heavy and Mars heavy and like God of War heavy that there are a lot of Star Wars scenes that I can think of that illustrate the energy this week, but they're really dark. And I'm like, let's not manifest that. I don't want to do that. So I haven't tied a scene to the astrology this week to Star Wars, and I'm not going to. But it's a challenging week. So if anyone feels like there is a lot of tension, there's a lot of energy, if you're feeling like super restless, the astrology is a big part in that. So
all right, that's fair. Yeah, and as we know, Star Wars can get pretty heavy. So, but why add on to the real world heaviness, right? That real world weight.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us again. We are very, very happy to have you back. So maybe this might become a regular thing. Maybe, who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? And of course, with us as always, the pilot of the infamous Parma Flyer. It's Crash.
Hey everybody, we've got a lot going on. We got a lot of news, a lot of topics this week. So lock those S-Flows in. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Tony always yells at me because I never introduce myself. I'm Tommy. And I'm on the road this week, so definitely not my normal setup. So if I struggle more than I normally do, then you'll know why. Sort of. Maybe. All right. So tonight we, of course, are talking about Maul Shadow Lord episodes 3 and 4. And this is where the show really starts getting interesting for me because it's no longer just about Maul like rebuilding his power base. These 2 episodes really, the loyalty piece is what really jumped out at me because we're seeing loyalty across multiple characters and how it's being tested and how it's being strained and how it's being manipulated. And I really like that. This show is just proving to be layer on top of layer on top of layer. So Two Boots, we're going to be diving into Two Boots. We're going to be talking about Two Boots for sure. because where is his loyalty? Is it to his protocol? Does he have some kind of like internal morality? Is someone else pulling his strings? I don't know. We'll find out. Devon struggling with everything that she believes. Everything. I mean, she's questioning things. But she's devoted to, Jedi Master Splinter. Obviously we see her defending him hard, but we also see her taking some steps in the other direction, maybe. And then we talked a little bit about this last week with Rook Kast. Where are her loyalties? Is she loyal to Maul the person, or is she loyal to what Maul represents? Is she being used by him? Is she using him? So lots to dive into this week. And I'm looking off camera at my notes. So if you see me, I'm not distracted or anything like that, but I am. Okay. But before we get into that, first, we've got news. Crash, you've got some news for us. Take it away.
Boy, oh boy. First off, we got an announcement that the key art for Star Wars Celebration Los Angeles was dropped, as well as ticket prices and when the tickets go on sale. This artwork is very A New Hope 1977 inspired with some new twists to it. It's kind of cool. I really like this poster. This is going to be the main cover art for everything at the convention in LA next year.
It's got like old school propaganda vibes, like old, Cold War era, like propaganda poster vibes, along with that classic 77 poster. So,
and a very Western motif. Arizona, California. If you're from out there and this style looks familiar to you, I think they're really playing up the LA vibe in this one.
The Star Wars has a Hollywood sign in the back. It's a really cute touch.
Oh yeah,
that was cool.
And they always do this when they go to new cities. There was a while there where they were bouncing back and forth between Anaheim and Orlando since the Disney merger, because there's a park right next door. And I can tell you from experience, I used to go, my sister and I would stay on property at Disney, commute into the convention, go back to our hotel on property, and they even do after hours events. I'm going to be heading out there for May 4th for Star Wars night, which is in fact the day, May 6th is the day the tickets are going to go on sale. So we're going to have to. So
May 6th.
May 6th.
And what are those prices looking like? I saw one of the VIP passes. It's like $1,700.
Well, actually, no, the VIP's at $1,210.
Okay.
So, which is still steep. And I'll tell you, as a veteran of many, I've been going to celebrations for 20 plus years. The VIP package is great if you can afford it. There's only a limited supply of them. You get early access. You get direct line in the autographs and photo op areas. So you go through it's like a fast pass at the parks. You go through faster than general admission types like me. They give you special panels and certain things. I had a buddy one time swap badges with my sister so she could have cupcakes with Ashley Eckstein and Dave Filoni. He wasn't interested, but so we swapped badges for an hour. Don't tell anybody.
Okay. Claudia, have you ever been to a celebration?
No, I haven't. No? I haven't. Okay. And I don't know. I was looking through the VIP benefits, and the discrepancy in pricing between VIP and regular is massive. And okay, admittedly, I have never been to these conventions. This probably will be the first one I go to, but maybe I skimmed through the VIP benefits too quickly. But I was like, I don't know if they're selling it that hard, because I live alone. I don't have kids, right? So I have money to play with sometimes, and a VIP pass is something I think I could do. But I was looking at the benefits and I was like, oh, come on. I feel like we should get a little bit more.
And I'll tell you, I've only been once, and it was Celebration 2 in Europe, Celebration really cool, Celebration Europe 2. We were stationed there at the time, so it was it was like a 45-minute drive. So I was like, well, heck yeah, why not? It was fun. This is a hot take, but I don't know. I don't know if I'd ever go to Celebration again. I'm so much happier going to Galaxy's Edge than cons. If the next time I go to a con, hopefully I'll be a panelist or we'll be have the podcast set up there or something. But cons, I'm just at this point in my life, I'm I'd rather go to events like the Rebel Scum event or the thing that they're having out in the desert or the thing they're having in Detroit, stuff like that. Fan Expo's fun, but I go there for the artwork. I hit Artist Alley, I spend $1,000 and then I bounce.
Well, at Celebration, you can spend a lot of money at Celebration and just Artist Alley alone. They got exclusive prints from the artists at attendance. I've got one on my wall from Joe Caroni from the Chicago convention in 2019. I bought it a couple of years later at his booth, but it's great. Yeah, celebrations are great if you're really into Star Wars. I don't do the VIP package. We try to get 4 days, depending on how much time. When we went to Snips and I went to London for the
explain who Snips is, because you do mention Snips, and for those folks that are just joining us for the first time, were you there with Ahsoka? Like, who are you talking about? We say Snips.
Obviously.
Were you and Ashley hanging out? Was it you and Rosario hanging out? I mean, come on.
Well, okay. So long story short, too late. Snips is my sister Emily. She's been coming with me to conventions for over 20 years. We're 10 years apart. So when Clone Wars came out and the Anakin Ahsoka dynamic started, it sounded very familiar, especially the sass and the quick comebacks from the younger member of the family, shall we say. So the name stuck. And she's full. She's an adult like me now. We travel with our parents sometimes. We're getting ready to go out to Disney with them for Star Wars night. We'll go out next year for LA, just her and me, because when we go to Celebration, we are there to work. And I mean, people watching, photo ops, as much as we can get done on our budgets, and we'll save up the whole year just so we have plenty of fun money to have a good time at this thing. And because the VIP is a very pricey ticket, again, you're buying it for the access. The 4 day, Chicago was a 5 day. I'll tell you right now, 5 days was excessive.
Yeah, that's a lot. I
believe that.
But by the last day, everybody was just sort of sitting around where you could find a floor or a chair and just like, oh my God, my feet are dead.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much, man.
And for London, what we did was, because the 4 days sell out rather quickly now. A lot, these things are very popular. We ended up buying a pair of single day tickets, and we planned our trip with our parents to London around Celebration. So like we did Friday at the convention, Saturday at the convention, Sunday we took our parents up to Stonehenge, had a big day on Easter Sunday, came back the next day, went back to the convention while they hung out at our hotel. So if you can't do the full weekend, there is a way to kind of, if you're traveling to the US, I was having a conversation with one of our Facebook friends, about traveling to the US. Not everybody's really comfortable about traveling right now, if you're not inside the US or from outside the US. So there's a little apprehension about that for many reasons, and it's tough, and we're hoping things maybe get a little better. But
but the nice thing is we've got Galaxy's Edge a little closer, right? Which is nice, and you've got something about Galaxy's Edge. Yeah, what's going on at Galaxy's Edge right now? Well,
coming up April 29th, I believe, they are doing the time shift, and they're going to start introducing new characters from the original trilogy. And I have a feeling these are older versions of, they don't look quite as old as they're playing as actors, but these are, Luke, Han, and Leia from what we could say the original trilogy. I think they're more from the Mandoverse era. Luke's in his black outfit. We saw him in Mandalorian in this outfit. Han and Leia could be dressed like these aren't outfits from the original trilogy films. It's not the white buns for Leia. Han's outfit is slightly different. I don't think he changes his style very much.
No, I think he's got like 3 pairs of pants, a couple of vests.
And Lando borrowed a couple of them, But so now they're going to start introducing characters. Vader and the Stormtroopers are going to take over where Kylo Ren and the First Order troopers were. So that half, the east half of Batuu, is going to be dedicated to the late original trilogy, early Mandoverse time. Right. Mando's still going to be there. Ahsoka is going to be there. A lot of the characters that they've introduced in the last few years are going to be on that side. And then Rey and everybody will be over by Rise of the Resistance. So there's sort of a time shift.
Now, aren't they moving? They're keeping Kylo, but they're moving him somewhere else. He's out of Galaxy's Edge completely, isn't he?
Vader's taking his spot. This is to be his spot in front of the ship. He'd come out and do the big show. He's going to be in Tomorrowland. Now, if you've never been to Disney Park, It's imagine a clock. Galaxy's Edge is at like 11:30 midnight, and the castle is the dead center of the clock. Tomorrowland's like 3-4 o'clock, but that's where Star Tours is. So now if you want to go ride Star Tours, you can still see Kylo Ren and the First Order troopers while Vader's here, and the timeline shifts a little bit. And the beauty of it is everything they're changing. They've been renovating Doc Ondar's, removing certain items on the wall that are a little predated.
And then the First Order outpost. That's shifting into the Imperial outpost. All that merch is turning Imperial.
And when I go out there, I'm going to take some Crash's Corner, and I want to kind of document some of the changes. I love that shop in particular because it's really just a surplus. It's going to be it's not only a military surplus is the story they're spinning it as in universe. Out of universe, it's where they dump all the stuff that isn't selling out at Star Tours. Like they got the Darth Vader helmets, they got the Darth Vader dolls, they got First Order Trooper stuff. They got it's all the Black Series helmets. It's all the real world toys that people are buying, that are just sitting on shelves in the other Star Wars themed shops. Like I went out to Disney Springs back over the holidays. It's that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Doc Ondar's will have the lightsabers and everything's going to be themed like you're in universe. This shop's kind of for the buy the budget lightsaber for the kids.
So it's like Nordstrom Rack or like like an outlet store sort of thing.
Outlet stores are a really good way to describe it.
So let me ask both of you this, and I'm curious what your takes are, both of you. So, Thalia, you've never been to Galaxy's Edge. You've been to Disney?
I have been to Disney, yeah. Okay. Not as an adult, so.
Okay, so a little, so not too long ago, a couple years ago. There you go. So a couple years
ago.
Yeah,
a little longer, but I gotta go. And also, I was thinking, if I don't go to the convention, is that the weekend to go to Galaxy's Edge?
I think every weekend is the weekend to go to Galaxy's Edge because I am absolutely in love with that place. So I don't think you. But you know what?
Like crowd-wise.
Yeah, everyone's going to be at Celebration.
LA is a bit of a hike. The convention this time is in LA. Usually they do it in Anaheim, which has their own convention center, which is, I kid you not, across the street from the back.
So it's a couple hours away? How far away? Because I forget how big California is sometimes.
Yeah.
So how far is LA to Anaheim? Like a few hours?
Well, by LA driving standards, I think from LAX it took.
So 2 days.
It took us
like
about
LA driving.
45 minutes to get from the airport to the park. I don't know how long it takes to get into downtown LA. I've never actually been into downtown LA, and we're scouting. Snips and I are scouting hotels, and we have our strategy, which I'll share with you guys when next year when I'm doing my Crash's Corner stuff.
We need to do that. Because we could do the entire podcast. And instead of Tales of the Jedi, Tales of this, Tales of Crash at Galaxy's Edge, and it's because you do so much. So I think we could literally get away with doing a podcast just about your adventures. But my question for both of you, and I don't know, Thalia, I don't know how much stake you would have in this, but I'm still curious about your opinion. This shift from First Republic era to Mandoverse, Galactic Civil War, Imperial era. Do we think that this is a good move? Is it, do we feel like, this is the original trilogy era is more of a touchstone for people, obviously, people across generations, the prequel era or the sequel era rather. It's been very divisive. The fandom has been split on that for a long time, but for the most part, everybody agrees on the original trilogy area. No one has any problems with that. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is potentially a good move? Because we're going backwards in the timeline now. So thoughts. Thalia, what do you think about this? Since, you've never been. So, just as someone that's outside looking in at this, what do you think?
I'm a little surprised that they didn't start the whole thing on the original trilogy. Because I feel like that's like a safer move because, like you said, they're less argumentative. People are they have less opinions on the original trilogy. It's just easier. So
they're probably trying to cash in. They were cashing in on the popularity of the sequels at the time. But I don't know. I agree with you.
It was very polar.
Yeah, it was.
So
it was.
I am surprised they didn't start with the original trilogy. So if anything, this seems like a safer move. Like they're kind of just maybe trying to bring in a new generation of people to the park. Maybe that's what they thought, like the younger people. I don't know. I'm speculating, but it's fine. I think it's all exciting. I'm happy to hear that they're not like totally taking away Kylo or anything like that, because that would be disappointing. So if they're just adding things and expanding, that's exciting. That seems good. But I'm very new to all of this. So
no, and that's good, and that's a great take on that. Crash, as the veteran, what are your thoughts? I mean, you've been going for years. So.
Yeah, there's a great documentary on Disney Plus about the making of the attraction, both Star Tours into Galaxy's Edge. They kind of do the history of the whole Star Wars thing, and it was interesting when they were building it, and they were talking about this at Celebration when they first announced it. There was a lot of thought put in, because they did the same thing with Star Tours. There was this thought, well, we were in the original trilogy era, let's do that. And they said, well, okay, but those movies are done. We know how that story ends. And Talia's got a point. Some of it is appealing to a younger generation of fans, because everybody knows the original trilogy.
Right.
Everybody, knows the prequel trilogy got the short end of the lollipop on this one, where they're left out altogether. Hi, Anakin.
There's Anakin. There he is.
Yeah, he started to get restless. Sorry.
So when they were designing this place, they wanted to kind of make not only a new planet, a new environment, but the immersion part of it was supposed to be that you were supposed to be able to live in the future of Star Wars storytelling. And that's why the sequel trilogy is heavily featured in the Rise of Resistance ride, our boy Hondo on Smuggler's Run, which is getting an update because they're going to be including missions with Mando and Grogu. Again, new movie coming out, new content.
Yeah, they're going to capitalize on that.
They're going to capitalize. Yeah. It's a corporation. It is a theme park. They're going to promote their current IPs as opposed to a nostalgia trip. And the beauty of this Darth Vader, like this scene with Darth Vader, is that for all the changes they're making, and I want to see this in person when I go, there's nothing here that can't be undone if it gets boring. Disneyland is I've been hearing a lot of chatter about why not come to Disney World and Hollywood Studios as well. Why not make all the people on the East Coast that can't don't want to travel out west are saying, well, bring it to Florida. First off, Florida's hot compared to Anaheim, so these guys would melt. But secondly, Disneyland is more of a locals park. People come after work for like a couple hours every day, regularly. The weekends are packed. So to do something like this, and having been to Star Wars Night, their after hours event, where the whole park, not just Galaxy's Edge, but the entire park is decked out in Star Wars themed stuff. I was riding speeder bikes with my dad for a photo out in Critter Country by Winnie the Pooh. And then, there's stuff over here on this side of the park where you could take pictures with Bo-Katan and remember that big throne of hers, and the Emperor's. They got stuff all over the place. But so Galaxy's Edge was always set directly into the sequel trilogy, but everywhere else they had stuff covering the entire universe of Star Wars. The beauty of this move of incorporating the original trilogy characters, even if it's supposed to be their older selves, minus Vader, because let's face it, he is iconic, is that now you sort of have a gentle, it's condensing Star Wars Night from the entire park into Galaxy's Edge, where you can have a little something for everybody now, except for you prequel fans. Sorry.
But I just thought about it, and we're going to dive into the show because we're already like 20 minutes in. News was supposed to be a minute, Crash.
You're
2 minutes,
brother.
I know. Because this is good stuff. I'm curious. I want to know, especially I want to know what you guys think.
Yeah.
But one thing I just noticed, and if we're talking about like what era this is in, if this is somewhere between like Jedi and like the Mandoverse, that post-Imperial era or whatever. I mean, Vader really shouldn't be here. I mean, he should probably be somewhere else because
he should be on a pyre burning. But again, they already have the costumes.
Right.
In Florida, they have him at Star Tours outside. They had him.
He's out there, and they do a thing.
They do a thing. So they already have the costumes made. The Han and Leia ones were the big news this week because these are new, and the Leia one especially, it's based off of something from the Marvel Comics look of Leia. There was a Princess Leia issue run, and she has a vest and a more utilitarian look to her. She's not in a white flowy robe. She's not in hair and buns, although her hair's kind of like
That's her adventure outfit. She's, her and Han are,
and if you remember Obi-Wan Kenobi, she's wearing gloves like she did when she was little.
Yeah, and it kind of seeing this, it's kind of giving like the the expanded universe. I think it was during the Thrawn trilogy, there was action figures and books that came out, and this kind of reminds me of that outfit. That's when she was like the whole Lady Vader thing, like her and
she was a Jedi in training there too.
She was a Jedi in training, and I remember the same dudes that were, I can't remember their names now, but they were the same species that was guarding Thrawn at the time.
The Nagori.
The Nagori, yeah, the assassins. But they recognized her as being a child of Vader because they could smell it, like because since they could sense that sense of smell. They could basically smell Vader's blood in her, so they called her Lady Vader, and that's kind of like a similar outfit, the blue with the the browns and the tans. So
yeah,
I think that's
very similar. Yeah, Tony, I'm the holocron keeper now, buddy.
Hopefully Tony's watching if he can. But all right, so let's get into this podcast as promised. So we're going to kick it off with Two Boots, talking about this guy, and we're talking about his loyalty to procedure. He's not loyal to Lawson necessarily. So he keeps coming back, with the same core issue. Why aren't we calling the Empire? Why aren't we following procedure? We have to contact the Empire. This is too big, and I think also part of his programming, and Paul, like you had mentioned it, we had a conversation, about is he doing the right thing? He's thinking about potentially saving local lives because he knows local law enforcement can't handle these guys. So we need something bigger than this. So I think what makes it interesting is he's not necessarily being disloyal. He's potentially one of the most loyal characters in the story, but really, what is he loyal to? Is he loyal to the greater good? And he's willing to, throw Lawson under the bus in order to achieve that good? Or is he just like the only guy in the room doing exactly what he's supposed to do because of his programming? Lawson switched him off. And this is why I started thinking, is someone else pulling the strings? Because somebody turned him back on. Unless it could have been just, I'm calling him Ken Cop right now because he's the other cop and he's just beautiful blonde hair and he's like Ken. So maybe he's just walking by with a cup of calf, goes in there to use the holo, and he's like, Two Boots, what are you doing here, my guy? Switch him back on. And then immediately he's FaceTiming the Empire. So is he the only one who's actually doing what is best? We know that, and this is where we talked about, with Two Boots, if you got two boots, you got two problems. It's like, in some cases, if you have a problem and you call the Empire, now you've got two problems. So Thalia, what do you think here? Like, I don't think he's doing anything wrong. I think he's not an evil robot, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't want to squash your theory of him being evil because you made a couple of great theories last week and you nailed it. So let's not rule anything out at this point. But I think, first of all, he's right. All of them are in way over their heads. They need help. Do they, is the Empire the best solution? It's not like ideal, but they can't handle this themselves. And I think as somebody who has a pretty strong sense of justice and wanting to follow the rules and do the right things, I totally relate to Two Boots a lot because he's just trying to do the right thing. It is programming. I do want to know who switched him back on though. That seems like a major key plot point that I would like to know. And also I'm glad you mentioned the hot cop because everyone on Janix, all the cops smoking hot. Just let me move over there. They're all hot. So that's I don't hate it, but I do want to know how he got switched back on. But I think he's just I don't know. It's interesting because we see a picture of him and Lawson on his desk that he covers up so his feelings are hurt at some point in this. it's difficult, but he's right. Like they can't do this by themselves. Like,
Right.
and I'm judging Lawson for thinking he could do this by himself at all. He had been warned by Daki at one point, saying like, don't get in too deep. Also, in episodes 1 or 2, Rena, right? That's her name. The undercover, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rena was like basically saying Maul is like a terror.
Yeah.
Like, why did he think like me and my little crew with like little pew pews can like go in and take Maul out? Like, what do we? It's silly.
No, that's a great point. I think like, and I think that's the really cool the dynamic between the two of them, because we also get it really early on from Two Boots. You know, he was like, I don't actually with the and the calf, you know, that was a good indicator. He's like, I don't actually drink this stuff. I'm just here for the moment. So I feel like that could also be the relationship. You know, he's like, I'm not here to be your partner. I'm here because I have a job to do. Mm-hmm. But, you know, he also doesn't, and at this point, nobody really knows the Empire yet, you know, what they're capable of. There's whispers and rumors, you know, but as far as the galaxy knows currently, the Jedi were the bad guys, you know, and the Empire saved us, you know, depending on how the propaganda spins it. So you've got, you know, but you've got Lawson. He's like, you know, you can't, you know, most of the humans, obviously, they're, you know, law enforcement. We can't bring the Empire in on this. But then there's also, you know, we see it all the time with police, you know, we're not going to call the FBI. This is our jurisdiction, you know, so there's maybe a little bit of ego there. There's a little bit of, you know, I want to save my home. I want to be the one to save, you know, my neighborhood. He's not a beat cop, but, you know, he's a neighborhood cop. You know, This is his planet, his world, his city. You know, he wants to be that one to save it. And I've heard some things about these Imperials coming in. So,
well, he knows one of the Imperials very personally, as we officially
confirmed.
He
does. And I called it and he said, and Two Boots said the X. He said the X. So I thought they were separated, but maybe they went to Star Wars divorce court.
I could spend an episode just like analyzing their relationship status, because I have so many questions about that. Like, does he not want to see the Empire because like he doesn't want to see his wife? Like, how did they separate because the wife went to go work for the Empire? Was that like a big rift in their relationship? Did they separate because his wife found out that he was sleeping with an undercover like informant? Like, I don't know. I
think that the cliche would probably be that he's married more to his job than he is to his wife and family. And we saw that with his son out there, you know,
that was
playing.
depressing.
And that was so sad. He had to take off. So that's going to cause a rift between him and the wife. But then the wife gets a good job opportunity. And it's like, look, we can leave this backwater, you know, they're only mid-rim, so it's not like outer rim, but we can leave this world and go here for a better life. And honey, maybe you don't have to work anymore. He was, but this is my job. These are my people. This is what I do. You know, so I think there's a lot. But yeah, I want to see more of that, 100%, and I'm looking forward to it. Crash, your thoughts on Two Boots here?
Well, Two Boots is very interesting to me. Again, I kind of called the Two Boots calling in the Empire thing.
Yeah.
But I'm going to push back a little bit. I'm going to go from maybe the other side of the coin, I should say. I'm not going to push back too hard.
Sure. But
I like the Lawson Two Boots dynamic.
Yeah.
And I think they are. Two Boots is trying to be a partner. The calf cup thing and having a photo, a very awkward, if you get a quick look at it, it's not a very well framed photo, but because I think he saw Lawson. Two Boots to me is giving off very much Data from Next Gen Star Trek vibe.
Okay, I can see that.
He's a droid trying to be human around humans, doing human things. Like, I'm here for the experience. I'm here. I don't drink calf, but I know that's what you guys do. And but his programming kicks in and says, okay, we're in over our heads. We need to call the Empire to handle it. And that's what a logical droid brain, how the analysis would go. I like how Lawson was against it, in the fact that because Two Boots says, well, we used to call the Republic and they would send a Jedi Knight, and I know Tommy and I differ in. I think the Republic people of the Republic still have a. Even if the propaganda says the Jedi were traitors, I think out there in the wider verse, there's people who remember when, hey, there was a time when a Jedi came and saved our ass when we needed them.
Sure.
So,
but there's also been a lot of times that the Jedi didn't. Like when we saw it,
the Clone Wars did a lot of damage on that part.
Especially with Dooku, when the tales with Dooku. I mean, they called the Jedi in, and it's like, ooh.
But I think Lawson's remembering, the Empire. The Empire isn't like the old Republic was, where sending a Jedi Knight to help us isn't the same as the Empire. They're not going to send a Jedi Knight to help us. They're going to send an army to occupy us. Right.
Yeah. I think that's what they're worried about. And I think just the regular person on the street, and we saw this in Andor, I believe. There were they were those high society people with Dr. Pershing, and they're like, oh, who is it? It's the Empire now or the Republic? Oh, I don't even know anymore. I can't keep track, because they're unaffected by it. As long as they're still, getting their credits rolling in, they don't care. And I think a lot of people in the galaxy, they're just trying to live their lives. I mean, it's like, who's in charge today? I don't know.
Look at that flashback in Andor of Ferrix when the Empire clone troopers were marching through the city, and a couple of people, not to draw too much of a real world parallel, but I'm sure people in Minneapolis could really appreciate what Ferrix was going through.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And we won't talk about Gorman. That's for another time.
Let's hope we don't get there. You know what I'm saying?
Let's hope, fingers crossed, we don't get there. But Star Wars has always been a franchise that deals with parallels and cautionary tales and uncomfortable mirrors to look into. And
part of being a morality tale, and Star Wars is a morality tale for 12 kids, is that it does have to kind of give you a glimpse of what politics and society, and you change the names and the circumstances a little bit, but if it sounds a little too familiar to home, then you got a problem.
Right. And if it makes you feel a little uncomfortable, good. Yeah. I mean, and I think that's ultimately been the beauty of Star Wars, the franchise, because this was obviously, as we know about George, he was a big fan of the Kurosawa films. He was a big fan of the Saturday morning matinee serials that he would go in and watch. We know this. So he's getting all of that, but underneath, he's always been an activist, and that really, really was folded and baked into the Star Wars DNA so well, and it's more than just, the good versus the evil, the light versus the dark. There's more nuance there, but we still can recognize George is still teaching you to recognize this is what fascism looks like. These are what the bad guys look like. These are the kind of a little more ambiguous people, like your Saw Gerreras. They're your Cassian Andors. Yes, they just murdered a bunch of people. However, they murdered a bunch of bad people that were going to end up murdering somebody else. But still, it's. But then we see the bad people, and then we see people like Mon Mothma, who and Leia. These are the good people, So Star Wars really gives us that whole spectrum, and it's not even about letting us decide which side we're on. It's like, like you said, it's a morality tale. If you find that you're in the theaters rooting for the Empire, we probably know who you voted for, and it's like, maybe we can't be friends. Maybe you should watch a different franchise, because this is not for you.
There's a reason I'm not in the costume groups anymore.
Well,
but I want to go one more thing about Two Boots I wanted to get into. The shutting down, Lawson literally shutting him down, figuratively, literally.
Yeah.
And to me, again, with the Data metaphor, is such a violation of their bond. Because I don't know if you're familiar with Next Gen, but Data has
good point. It's a good point.
On his back that is his off switch. He's an android, and only a handful of people he trusted with that information. And it was a great episode where they were having a trial to decide whether he had rights as an android.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Much like Two Boots and droids in the Star Wars universe, their citizenshipness is in question in a lot of ways.
Right.
I wouldn't walk up to you behind you and jab you in the ribs and shut you off.
That wouldn't shut me off. We might have a different conversation if you do that. I mean, I don't know.
So for Lawson to literally violate Two Boots' bodily autonomy by shutting him off.
So now we're talking about, and that's a great point, Crash. We're talking about, loyalty this week. And so we're talking about Two Boots' loyalty to Lawson, but what about Lawson's loyalty to Two Boots? Not letting him do what he knows in his, metal heart must be done, and then turning him off. Treating him like, yes, he is a machine, but as we know in Star Wars, droids are so much more than that. So now it's like you're treating me like that calf maker. You're treating me like, this computer terminal. You just like, what is that? And does Two Boots feel that? Some droids do. Some droids do have feelings and emotions, but I don't know.
I think he has the photo on his desk. I think this is going to definitely negatively impact their relationship. And Crash, it's a good point. That is such a violation of their relationship. That's a really, really aggressive move to just turn your droid off.
And I feel that's like fewer points in his favor for you, Thalia. You're already like, what, this Lawson guy, like, this Lawson guy.
I know. I don't.
And now he turns his buddy off. Like, yeah, that's Crash. There's no other way to say it. It was a violation. And there was this awkward moment between the two of them. Once they, get caught back up to each other, you could feel that. There was that tension, there, the awkwardness. It was like
there was also like the slightest bit of like subtext when Two Boots was telling Lawson when they were in the speeder together, when he was just like, sorry, I didn't mean to override your seniority or something. I'm paraphrasing. That's kind of the line he said. But the way he said seniority or your, like he said it, I don't know, the tone, I was like, is he mocking him? Like just that last word of like, I didn't mean to override your seniority. Like it was like he emphasized it a little bit.
You're right.
I just was like, just the slightest moment where I was like, you can't see his face. His face stays the same, right? Droids don't really express emotion.
Have you been wronged by a human being? Contact L3 from Solo. She will make them pay. Yeah, there's a great droid that was very much about droid rights and droid liberties in a world run by organic life forms. I think this is a great moment where it's just like, something the humans sort of, we make droids in our own image, but when the push comes to shove,
he took some liberties there. All right, let's move on to Devon. This poor kid, she's going through it. So Maul is testing her. Obviously, Maul is trying to push her. We know exactly what he's doing. He doesn't threaten her. He talks to her. He gives her space. He frames their pain as being connected, which is just diabolical. And by the time she gets back to Daki, she's already starting to sound a little bit different and feel a little bit different. And I think there was a moment where Daki even kind of sensed that. And that's kind of like the danger here with that. She doesn't have to join Maul for Maul to win at this point. He just needs to maybe separate them. If he can just like destabilize what she believes, he doesn't have to necessarily force the dark side on her. He just needs to shake her foundations enough, and she'll come to that on her own, and it'll he's already starting to make a little bit of progress. So do you think that she's actually getting pulled to the dark side, or is she just finally asking questions that, as we know, the Jedi will never prepare you for? And that's kind of always been the seduction of the dark side is, these hidden teachings. The Jedi don't, and Palpatine said it, these are things you can learn, but not from a Jedi. There's always this big secret with the Jedi. And in some ways, Palpatine was right in saying that if you want to master the Force, you have to know both sides of it, all sides of it. But as we come to find out, there are really no sides. It's just the Force being the Force. That's a whole other show. But so, Thalia, what are your thoughts on this direction that Devon's taking, and maybe where her place is in the Force right now?
Well, I inaccurately predicted that she was going to fold quickly. I thought she would. And she's putting up a little bit more of a fight than I anticipated. So my bad on what I said last week.
You don't
I mean,
have the
I have
script? What's wrong with you?
Well, everybody made predictions last week, and like
It's all
everyone
here.
got one except me. I was like hard miss. But I am surprised. I thought this was gonna be a more expeditious escalation.
Okay.
But obviously she's struggling. That's apparent. The scene where she is in the dark with Maul's lightsaber, that is like one of the scariest scenes in Star Wars, I think. And I listened to it, I watched it on my TV and I listened to it on my headphones too. Listening to it on your headphones is wild. You hear Maul coming in like on each side of your ear.
Oh, that's cool.
Around. So everybody, yeah. So actually,
wait, what?
Watched. No, it was. I'm not gonna recommend this, but I was walking home from work and I was just rewatching it this afternoon. I have muscle memory; it's good. I wouldn't recommend anyone doing that in Boston or any city ever, but he was like creeping in and out of each ear. It was really, really, really cool. So if you haven't watched the show with headphones, do it. Even on your little iPhone, just do it for the audio. Don't even look. It's really, that scene is incredibly creepy.
Well done to the sound engineers. What? Okay,
really,
that's awesome.
Really cool. Yeah. It gave me chills, honestly.
And you're walking down the street by yourself, and you know, like, and your ear. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was really cool. So definitely do that. But she's putting up more of a fight than I thought. So astrologically, I'm going to give her a little bit of some, I think she has some earth sign placements here because she is much more grounded and stubborn than I had anticipated. She's obviously still fiery, but I'm reading that still as her being a kid. Okay. I think like at that age, anyone is going to be fiery. And also she's like, this is a scary situation. I would freak out in this situation. So she's just on the offense, as I think any of us would be. But definitely, finally, like I'm starting to see a little bit more of a picture of her astrologically. She has some strong earth in her for sure. So we're talking Virgo, Capricorn, or Taurus. I'm not seeing very much Capricorn. I think it's Virgo, but we'll get there eventually. But anyways, yeah, she didn't fold as quickly as I thought. So she's a little bit more grounded, and maybe I underestimated her relationship with Daki, her uncle Daki.
Uncle Daki. That's a good take. That's a good take. And we're at this point now where it's like with talking about loyalty, Maul doesn't need for her to be loyal to him or anyone. He just needs for her to be uncertain. You know, and I think that's what he's chipping away at. But I mean, we see her defend Daki with her life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like what happens next is really going to determine, I think, the direction that she goes, you know, and it's going to really be on Daki to help guide her in whatever direction she's going to go in at this point, because Maul's putting in work. This is the most diabolical I think we've ever seen him. You know, because he is playing that long game with her.
Oh, yeah. The force scream that he does when he's fighting both of them, like that sent chills down my, like I was watching, and as I think I said out loud, you know, by myself, of course, I was like, he's about to lose it. He was this close to absolutely losing it. And I think we all agree he could have killed Daki if he wanted to. He didn't. He made a choice, 100%. Right? Mm-hmm. We all know that. But there was that one moment where I was like, he is 1 inch away from doing it. Yeah. He's and this is, I think, even before his leg was injured, maybe. I'm not sure on the timing of that. But still, there was just a moment where you see him absolutely lose it. He's like chasing him up the stairs, breaking all the rails.
That was after the knee. The knee.
Oh, was it after the knee?
Yeah, because that was my "oh no, you didn't" moment for him. And I'm glad you brought that up, because this fight is very Duel of the Fates-esque. We've all seen Maul fight 2 Jedi at the same time. We're very familiar with Phantom Menace scene. So to see him again going, 2 against 1, holding his own, singling out the master. Imagine if Obi-Wan hadn't been trapped behind those, ray shield doors, he might have been able to save Qui-Gon, and we'd have a whole completely different story. But that's not the point. The point is, Daki got in the I don't want to call it the cheap shot, but he, Maul's a very skilled fighter. He's a very confident fighter. So for an older Jedi to get him in one of his soft spots pissed him off.
But it's smart, it's smart of Gaki.
And that's when he started going savager than normal on tearing up the staircase. And if you look at the railing, everywhere his saber was whooshing, the railings dropping away. I was like, that's just cool.
Because he's fighting himself. He's not just fighting everybody around him and fighting to rebuild his empire. He's fighting himself, like every step.
Self-control, everything. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't supposed to be engaged. Yeah, he had the hologram. He's trying to bribe Lawson and the cops into backing off from a distance. I love that shot when the probe droid finds him and on Lawson's camera, and he just crushed it with the Force.
Yeah,
it's like no, you're not supposed to know where I am.
Right.
Like Sagar, you have no idea where I am.
So Crash, what are your thoughts on the direction that Devon is going here? And how how her loyalty is really truly being tested.
I think these two episodes were two very good case examples of her journey downhill. Can you go back to that 2-shot slide? Yeah. This part was great for me because if you remember, we haven't gotten there yet, but on Star Wars Rebels, there's an episode where Kanan is teaching Sabine how to use the Darksaber. A Jedi is trying to train a Mandalorian in how to fight with a lightsaber. And Kanan is fighting, one-handed, hand behind his back. He's not trying to beat her. He's trying to instruct her. And he's doing it. And he even told her, you're fighting two of us, and you're losing to me and yourself, and you're losing to. He was pointing out her flaws during the training. Maul is just taunting her the entire time while he's luring her in with his, talk about what the Jedi. You used to be a Jedi. The Jedi aren't respected anymore. You should join me. We will. We'll take down Palpatine together. All this, Jeff. While he's just, she is going full speed. Ahsoka, all the great Jedi fight. We've seen Arya Stark from Game of Thrones. I mean, she's going all in, and he's taking her one-handed like it's nothing. He is
as he should, right? As he should.
But she's still, and everything about her was about. She had a saber, she had a weapon, but she was using it to retreat. To the point, and I didn't get a screen grab it, but I like this at the very end where she's got, she literally can see daylight. And he just yoinked the saber away from her, like, no, I need that.
Yeah, I still need this, but carry on.
Yeah,
carry on.
Like, we'll to be continued, but I need this saber.
Like, I don't like Maul, but you cannot deny he's a gangster. I mean, there's just no other way about it. I mean, he's a psychopath, but I mean, that dude's a gangster. I mean,
Well, and because he was trained by one. We said it last week. Palpatine taught him how to destabilize governments from within. He was the chaos engine. I think what he's doing here with her is last week we said he didn't call her an apprentice. He needs a weapon. He's not. I don't know if he necessarily wants to use her as a like his brother Savage, where they were master and apprentice. We're a team. We're in this together, even though I am the dominant one. He may just want to set her off the leash to have the Inquisitors and the Empire chase her while he runs his gangster revival business in the shadows. Because if the Inquisitors are chasing her, they're not hunting him.
Right. And I think I'm sure he senses that. He knows what's coming. He knows exactly what's coming. So,
and he called Lawson out on it. He said, why are you here, not the Empire?
Right. So, still to come. So, I mean, seeing that shot of the Star Destroyers coming over the city, it's like, oh, here we go. And we know what's about to jump off that ship. So we'll get into that in a minute. I want to dive.
I'm sorry. And there's nothing more intimidating. This goes all the way back to, speaking of Celebration in LA, it goes back to the very first movie. The first thing you see in Star Wars is that a Star Destroyer looming overhead. This time it was from below, but it was over. It's still over the. The imagery of a Star Destroyer hanging over something is so
It's ominous.
And it's so ingrained in what Star Wars is about. These aren't happy, fun ships.
No.
This is
no. When you see that like 2 mile long ship show up, and we got like this almost POV of it going overhead. Like, I mean, imagine being, on the ground in the city. You're just, you're going to the local bodega to get something to eat, and all of a sudden, here's this giant Imperial ship. It's like, oh man, what is this? And as a citizen, you don't know the ins and outs. Even if you watch the news, it's all propaganda on the news. So you don't know what's going on. All you know is that there's something new happening. And I mean, like, these days it's like, okay, great. Do you guys have healthcare? I mean, Empire, sure, you guys are here, but do you offer a living wage? Is it? I mean, are you hiring?
Do we still need to pay our bills now that
right.
you're here?
Yeah, I mean, are you just going to destroy that part of the city? And do we got to pay our taxes still, or like what's going on?
Yeah.
So I wanted to get into Rook more as well, but I mean, she's still an interesting character. I think who's kind of a wild card, but we're running out of time a little bit, but. She's still kind of tertiary at the moment, but I'm really hoping that something more is going to happen with her, and I feel like something more is going to happen with her. I think her loyalty is still a little bit not completely ambiguous at this point, but because she still is very much on Maul's side, but I'm still questioning what her motivations are. Is she just 100% a Maul zealot like she was on Mandalore, or is there more? Because she's still a Mandalorian at heart. No matter if she's a mercenary or not, she's still a Mandalorian. And Mandalorians have a lot of pride, and they do have a weird moral and ethical compass. So, it's going to be interesting to see where she goes. But so the takeaway from all this, I think, from these episodes, is that Maul isn't necessarily the only threat here. He's not even the biggest threat. It's the fracturing of loyalties. It's the pull and the manipulation of loyalties, because once you've got people, once they, stop agreeing on who they serve, or, once they, or what they believe, or they start questioning what line they won't cross anymore, that's when things are going to really start opening up for Maul, because that's what I think he wants. Crash, you made a great comment. You called the Palpatine that chaos engine, and I feel like that's what Maul is cosplaying here. He's not capable of being the chaos engine that Palpatine was, but he's trying. His own inner turmoil won't let him do it because he doesn't have that calm or confidence that Palpatine did. So, what do you think? What are your thoughts on like how far can he take this in terms of like shattering people's loyalties?
Well, I think one of the things we haven't covered yet in these two episodes was, I called it the Trojan horse move.
Okay.
He pulled with the pikes.
And
that was, again, he may not be a master manipulator like Palpatine, but he's got some tricks.
He does,
especially when you send a Zabrak in a cloak. I thought at first when they were showing what's his name, Vario, yeah, with the little stun blaster and everything. I'm like, oh, is he think he's is this where he screws up and tries to betray them all? I was like, no, this was he shoots the decoy because he knows they'll drag a Zabrak. They see a guy with a lightsaber and a cloak, they think it's Maul, they drag him right to their leader's doors.
It's exactly what he wanted.
And as soon as you see the guy in the lightsaber in the background glow. It's like Darth Maul is trying to win the Star Wars hallway scene fight of the ages. Every episode now we're going to have Maul having just have a bunch of goons in a hallway and just let them shred these guys.
And there's so many everyone makes a big deal about Vader's hallway scene, which is an incredibly epic hallway scene. But it's like, I was, as I'm watching other things, I was watching Daredevil over the weekend, and I was watching some other things. There's always these like hallway fight scenes. I was watching The Matrix. There's the hallway fight scene. It's like everyone's got a hallway scene. I didn't realize it until like 2 days ago that I didn't realize it was such a big deal. It's like, how do I make a great movie? Well, chase scene, love interest, hallway scene.
And a one-cut hallway, an extended fight in a hallway.
Yeah.
And Maul's had like 16 of them so far.
Because that's what he is. He's literally a weapon.
And he knows get someone in close quarters. There's no hope for you.
If a Jedi or a Sith with one lightsaber is tough to combat, a guy with two of them that knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah. So Thalia, with this whole loyalty puzzle piece here, what are your thoughts on that? And in terms of Maul, we talk about him. Is he playing chess? Is he playing checkers? Is he playing backgammon? That was a great move. The Trojan horse move was a great move, and we kind of expect that because that was cold. The only time he's not sloppy. The only time he really gets sloppy is when he's dealing with Kenobi because all the emotions are there, Yeah. But I get a little sloppy around Kenobi too. I'm not gonna lie. So anyway, so what are your thoughts on this? Like him pulling all these loyalty strings.
Well, I do want to say one thing about sending in the decoy, like at a shallow level when I first watched it, and maybe for a split second, like we think it's Maul. Like he comes out, and I was like, "Is Maul drunk?" Like it was
right,
so.
There's no way. There's no way.
I was like, "Why is he moving?" But I was okay. I wasn't that quick. Like once his cloak came off, I was like, "Oh, that's why I thought he was drunk." But it's just so cool that they are so good at capturing the slightest nuances in animation, and I just want to like shout that out because it's cool. Like it's cool if an animated show can get the personality of a character so accurately and convey it to their audience so well that when you're not seeing it, but you're like supposed to be seeing it, you could still notice like differences. I don't know. I thought it was really, really.
And they didn't do motion capture for this either.
Right.
So I mean, the fact that you recognized that this other character wasn't walking or moving like Maul, what does that say about the animation department?
It's so good. It's so good. And that's so fun. That's such a fun. It's just a fun moment for me to be like, what is Maul like really? What's going on? He's off. Something's wrong here. But then obviously to see the real thing. So that's cool. Okay, so for loyalty, I don't know. It's a 50-50 chance here because now that you say like, is he just trying to make Devon a distraction and to get the Inquisitors on her instead of him? I think that's a really good point. Maybe he's not looking for an apprentice. Maybe he's just looking for a distraction. Like he just wants to create a bigger mess so that his mess doesn't look as big comparatively. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great take because it's like I feel like with his ego being what it is, I feel like an apprentice would almost be in his way, because he's not living that Sith life anymore. But he still has that paranoia where it's like, if you're my apprentice, eventually you're going to kill me, and I can't have that, And he's already dealt with Savage, unfortunately, the way that he treated Savage. So, yeah, I think that's her being a distraction. I think that's really plausible.
But we had an interesting conversation on our Facebook page. I asked the question about Maul over the years, trying to lure Ahsoka, Ezra Bridger, now Devon, and I said, what is with him always trying to seek younger, force-sensitive individuals? And Damian Smith, one of our Facebook friends, had a great point. He's kind of looking from the other side than we are. He said, because he fears being alone. And I kind of thought about that for a while, and I was like, I think even when he was Palpatine's apprentice, he had a connection with something. He was part of something, a grand plan. When Savage finds him and they try to form their crime syndicate as brothers, even though he was trying to be the alpha brother, he had someone to command. And I think that's part of why he's trying to rebuild the Shadow Collective, is that he may not want an apprentice, but he doesn't want to be alone, because alone he has no power and he has limited options.
I think he wants an audience more than a companion.
Not an apprentice.
You know what I mean?
Not a companion.
Not an apprentice. Like
he wants an audience, and I think that's the part. You can't have an audience all by yourself.
And I think that's why Rook right now is kind of like the ideal henchman for him, but she's disposable. Yeah, I think in his world, in his view, in his eyes.
He's already bailed on her in the Mandalorians once. He'll do it again.
He will. He will.
Yeah.
All right. So predictions next week. What are we thinking? Empire's arrived. They're on scene. What's coming up? What's next?
How much longer is Daki gonna live? He's already not doing great.
No. You think this might be it for him? The next couple episodes?
Devon's gonna need something to, like, unfortunately, I hate trailers so much, but like we've seen clips in the trailer where it seems like she and Maul are working together. She's gonna need something to push her to get there.
He might be that catalyst, yeah.
I think him dying, and it's great because Maul kind of can keep his hands off and be like, oh, natural causes, or the Inquisitor, because Daki's already, he's not doing well. So to have fought as well as he did with Maul was impressive, because like when's the last time he fought? Years. It's been years. That was a great coming out of retirement fight for him. Really impressive, but he's injured, he's not doing well, and now he's gonna go up against an Inquisitor. It's done. Then Devon's gonna really emotionally spiral.
Yeah, we had Go Donald on YouTube said it could push her either way. That's a great point. You know, the death of Daki, it could either like really ground her more in the light side, but with her being so young, you know, Maul could count on her giving into that hate and that anger.
And she doesn't want to be alone either. Just like I agree. Like Maul doesn't want to be alone either. I agree. I think I mentioned that last week. I think he is so desperate for somebody, whether it's an audience or a companion or an apprentice, whatever you want to call it. He's a lonely guy. But I think Devon, as young as she is and as impressionable as she is, she doesn't want to do this alone either. If Daki dies, who does she have left?
Nobody. And I think that's what Maul counts on.
Of course.
Know, he counts on that. You know, he needs someone, but I do wonder what his motivations are for that. Like, is he lonely in the sense that we would necessarily feel lonely, or is he lonely to be seen? Obviously he's got trauma, you know, he's got childhood trauma, he's got daddy issues. Obviously, you know, we've seen all that. You know, Go Donald says, you know, abandonment issues all around. And that's absolutely true. I mean, especially with the Jedi, you know, because they're raised in this collective, they're removed from their families. The Jedi becomes a surrogate family, sort of, but not really. The real bond is between Jedi and apprentice. And then once that Jedi ultimately dies, if you don't have an apprentice, it's going to be a really lonely existence for you. So, yeah. Oh, such a good show so far. Crash, predictions for next week.
I think, and yes, these two episodes were a treat. I have a feeling we're going to get the leveling up of the lightsaber action. We had one-on-one. We had a duel of the fates. 2 against 1. Again, from the trailer, we know that we're going to get Merrick and that other Inquisitor from Tales of the Jedi, the one that Ahsoka took out.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm like, okay, are we going to get 2 against 2, or 2 against 3? Yeah, 3. Is this just going to be a lightsaber brawl for the 8? And I am here for it.
And I want to see just how badass that Inquisitor is, because I absolutely love Ahsoka. She is just an incredible character. I mean, we've seen her literally grow up from infant to complete and total badass. But when we see her take him out, she does it so masterfully.
She took them both out, actually.
She did. But the way that we see him taken out in Tales, it's just like, okay, you win. Like, you win. Like, you are Master Ahsoka. I mean, it was so good. So now I want to see him be just a complete beast, because it just makes that win that much better for Ahsoka. I just want to see Ahsoka get her crown, because damn, that was such a good fight. That was like my number 2 lightsaber battle. That, and then the final battle between Kenobi and Maul. Those are my 2 favorite lightsaber battles, just because they're so samurai. They're just quick, done, and it just shows his mastery. And it's just all right. So those are our predictions for next week.
Pretty much, yeah. The wife.
That's what I think. I think we're gonna find out. I think I think the boy is going to leave. He's had enough. I think I'm still
D1 athlete.
Yeah, right. So, but I'm still kind of stuck on what you had said too about someone snatching him up to use him as leverage. So I think I'm going to jump on that prediction that you had. I think that we may see that there's going to be some family drama.
Yeah.
I think Lawson's going to be pushed to make Lawson's going to be pushed to make a choice, a very, very hard choice between family and his duty to the law. So I don't know.
I'm a little more sympathetic to Lawson, I think, because there's I'm still, Holly Janera's off with her job at the Empire. and I feel for him because, he is doing a tough job.
Sure.
Especially, to try to be a dad at the same time. I did like the dad, him wanting to stay at field level to be, he's staying in the tunnel because, he wants to watch the game, but if he has to leave, he doesn't want to sit with the parents.
Yeah, he wants to leave. He wants to leave.
I don't think he wants to leave. I think he wants to stay and watch the game in peace. Yeah. And
Talia is like, I'm done with this guy. I am so done with this lecherous droid violator. I'm just done.
I'll just say, growing up in a hockey family, I've been that guy who, I'll hang out in the tunnel and watch the game, from the bench or from behind the scenes, because once you sit with the other parents, it's yakking. It's how's your day? What's it this? I think he just wanted a quiet moment where he could just watch his son score a goal, be a proud dad, and then Uncle Docky had to come in and just get in the middle of his family time. And I love that line that Lawson said, when he was talking to Tubus, the Empire ruins lives. Mm. I have a feeling he's speaking from personal experience, and I think we're going to get you want to know what my prediction is?
Yeah.
Two Boots is going to find out the Empire ruins lives, even if they are the authority and they are the, what the protocol is. Lives are going to get ruined now that the Empire's here.
That was a great line, and we see Two Boots in, I don't even want to call it ignorance because it's not, but it is. He doesn't know the Empire because what did he say? He said, do you not trust the Empire because you don't trust the Empire, or because they took away your ex-wife?
Again, he's equating the Empire with the Republic because they sent Jedi to help them. Right. The Empire is not going to send Jedi. That's, like I said earlier, they are going to send Inquisitors, and Inquisitors don't care about collateral damage.
And we will be occupied, like you had said.
Yeah.
Like you had said, this is not going to be a rescue mission. Once they're boots on the ground, they're here for the duration. Mm-hmm. They're here. And I think the captain understands that. Although I don't trust her right now either. She seems cool, but we always see in other movies, we always see captains sometimes doing shady things in the backgrounds to get that promotion. So
give me your gun and your badge, Lawson.
Right? Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right. So next week, homework. Obviously, we're watching the next 2 episodes of Maul. But keep your eye on who's getting more committed and who's getting more compromised. So we're going to kind of look at that. Depending on how the episodes develop, those might be some of the themes we talk about next week. Commitment and compromise. So we'll see. We'll see. So that is going to do it for us. Want to thank everyone for joining us this week. Thalia, thanks again for coming out and hanging out with us. Tell Anakin we said thank you as well. Is Anakin still with you?
Absolutely. He's sitting. Yeah, he's sitting next to me. He's been so good. He did a really good job.
He's been a good boy. So
so I'm gonna get like clawed later. It's fine. Come here.
So Thalia, tell people where they can find you. Tell people where they can find you and what you do.
Absolutely. So all I talk about pretty much on TikTok and on Instagram under Astrology Jedi, my handle's right here, is Star Wars, but through the lens of astrology. So if you don't know a lot about astrology, but you're a Star Wars fan, that's where I come in. I could explain astrology to you using Star Wars. And that's cool because you could learn something. And at the end of the day, most of us all know our sun signs, and we might know our the sun signs of people close to us. So I think it's fun when you hear signs of people you know or yourself, and you hear me talk about them, and hopefully you see a little bit of relation. You start to understand that I'm not just making stuff up. Like astrology is based on like archetypes, and that is what I explain. So I try to teach astrology, but I do it through Star Wars, which I don't know, for my brain and how it's wired, that's the way it makes the most sense to me. And again, usually when there's like major astrological transits going on, I will tie it to a scene in Star Wars, unless it's really like dripping in war, which I'm not going to do. But these things, this is just how I see astrology. So if you want to learn anything about that, and if you're a Star Wars fan, it should be a fun watch. So come find me on IG or TikTok. I'm there.
Awesome. All right, so please do check out the Astrology Jedi. Very cool stuff. And we, of course, have got some stuff going on. You can check us out if you want some cool merch. circleofnerds.com/merch over on our website. We don't really push it as much because it's been down for a little bit, but I'm bringing our Patreon back online. So if you're interested in that and supporting us in some way, still kind of working out like what to give people as perks, because we're all spread very thin, and but I'm working on it. We had a Patreon on it for a long time, so I'm kind of resurrecting that just to see about giving people some like behind the scenes type stuff and all that good stuff. So stay tuned for that. Crash is running our Facebook, and he's also running our secret, members only, Swarzy Curious page, our fan page. So go on there if you want to talk to people who are, positive about Star Wars and the community and the lifestyle, and you want to talk to people who are non-toxic and low sodium for the most part. It's going to be friendly debates, obviously. Nerds debate, that's what we do. So check him out over there. And they've got a great discussion going on, right? You've been talking about this Mara Jade thing. So definitely head on over there and to get some of the discussion about the Mara Jade, this whole Mara Jade versus Rey thing that you got going on over there.
Well, I haven't posted it yet. That was going to be this weekend. So spoiler alert, we're going to have some
Spoiler.
But I will say what we have going on right now. I posted something this morning, just a simple engagement poll about picking your favorite movie of the sequel trilogy. And it's going to be a while before we get to that in our rewatch. But I like to post topics. Some topics about the shows we're watching and other stuff from across the genre of Star Wars to see how you guys feel out there. And it's amazing because The Last Jedi is kicking ass in this poll. And it just shows me too. But in many, and I love all three movies, but I like the fact that our friends, our Swarzy Curious friends out there are, the Phantom Menace, really tried to sabotage that movie for various reasons. They don't like Disney Star Wars. They don't like women Jedi, women running Lucasfilm, blah, blah, blah. There's more of us. And I'm telling you right now, looking at it, it's 58 for Last Jedi, 26 for Force Awakens, 14 for Rise of Skywalker. And I understand Rise of Skywalker is a little messy at the ending. Like I told one of our friends, I understand it's hard to land an almost 50-year movie franchise. It's tough to stick the landing. As a guy named Crash, sometimes it's just okay to land the plane intact.
Any landing you can walk away from is a good landing, right?
You can walk away from is a good one.
There you go. So check it out. Head on over there.
Can I make one note? I have to say, when I presented at Boston Fan Expo, my thesis of my presentation was explaining astrology using Luke Skywalker's character in The Last Jedi, because I know how heated that is and how so many people feel like Luke wasn't true to his character. I spent like half of my presentation just talking about why astrologically this was fine. This made so much sense, and I pulled receipts from the older movies. The Last Jedi is so good, and if you think Luke's character doesn't act accordingly, you're wrong. And I have like astrological receipts for that, and also the movie receipts and the Clone Wars receipts and everything. But I'm happy to hear that they like The Last Jedi. It is one of my favorites. I love it. I think it's so great, and clearly I get very passionate about it. So,
and that's good, and as well you should. And I've had that argument with people before. When we first see Luke and he tosses the lightsaber over his shoulder, people lost their minds. But we could do an entire episode on that, and we will once we get there. But Luke's trauma and his state of mind. Yes. Yeah. Anyway,
his ego. It's
all of it. Everything. I mean, everything. this was the best way and the only way that you could have wrapped up Luke's story. And anyway, we're about to go into a 2-hour show here. But anyway, no, because I want to talk about it. So maybe we should start doing for Patreon. Like we'll wrap our show at an hour, and then we'll do like hour-ish. And then do like Swarzy Curious After Dark or something. We'll do like where we just like really go off the rails and talk about this stuff, because I agree with you. Like it's the fandom menace just gets under my skin so much because they manufacture this hate. They manufacture this just disgust for these things. It's like, well, that's not my Luke Skywalker. Yeah, no shit. It's not your. It's never been your Luke Skywalker. We've seen the evolution of this character who has gone through nothing but trauma his entire life, literally. And then we find out that he was so fearful, he was so afraid that he was compelled to potentially kill his own nephew. I mean, to save the universe.
And the simplification that you like, he refused to fight his father in Return of the Jedi until he lost it and he was goated. But one bad dream. It's it's so much more. Like Padme, when they say Padme died of sadness, there's so much more layers to that. But it just makes a quick talking point that you can throw in a comment section. Right. Tend to sound smart.
So let me say this to everyone out there who feels stressed by the fandom menace, who feels betrayed because maybe some of their friends or family member have gone in that direction. I'm just going to say this, and to the fandom menace as well. We're winning. We're winning. We're still getting Star Wars. No matter how much you say the franchise is dead. You've said that for decades. When Return of the Jedi came out, oh my God, that's it. The franchise is dead. When the special editions came out, the franchise is dead. When the prequels came out, it was dead. When the Clone Wars came out, it was dead because it's cartoons. What? No one's going to watch a cartoon. Then the sequels came out. It dies. Every cycle, it dies. But it's still here, isn't it? And we're still enjoying it. If you're not enjoying it, stay salty, because I'm having fun. We're having fun. We're still enjoying our Star Wars journey, so much so that we're doing it again, rewatching all of it in chronological order because we want to fall in love with it even deeper. So I used to do this thing on my radio show because you couldn't see it, but I would give people the finger of truth. So Fandom Menace, there's your finger of truth. You can see it now. I don't even care. So that's what I think about him.
And Talia, I'll tell you, if you do make it out to Celebration LA next year, you will feel the positivity of what the fandom can be.
Maybe I might. I'm scheduled for Galaxy's Edge. I'm scheduled for Disney in October because and I'm going to be out in LA, or not LA, but Anaheim. I'm going to go to Disney West because I want to experience the whole Nightmare Before Christmas thing that they do,
right? In
addition to Galaxy's Edge, but
right.
We'll talk about that. That's a completely different show.
Yeah, I got received. I'll post a video on our page when Ewan McGregor showed up to his first celebration in amongst the people. It is a sight to behold, and it was just, you just felt good in that room. So I'll share that as well.
He's a good guy.
Well as our Mara Jade thing, because what all they heard in the press and the online chatter about, from the Fandom Menace about how bad their movies were, it literally almost drove Ahmed Best to suicide. That's how.
Yeah. And Jake Lloyd. Look what happened to Jake as well. Jake tanked, but then you've got people like Ewan McGregor, great guy. We went and we saw him at Fan Expo in Boston. And we were all wearing our Obi fans shirt. And we brought one to him. So we don't know if he ever wore it. I mean, it'd be kind of a cool little photo op if he did, but he was cracking up. He was loving it. He was such a genuinely nice guy. He didn't want to have them rush us off, but you got to do what you got to do. So, but yeah, anyway, so Ewan, you've got the shirt. Hopefully, if you still have it, take a picture. Let us know. But hopefully we'll see him next time. Because Fan Expo Boston, I love it. We do Fan Expo in Cleveland a couple times, but the one in Boston, I just love Boston.
I love I love my hometown, but our Fan Expo is the redheaded stepchild of the. There are bigger cons, there are better cons, and even within the Fan Expo. Sometimes it's just about the market you're in.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes it's just about the time of year. March in Ohio sucks. Okay, I'm going to say that right now. So it's hard to really draw people. Say, "Oh, you want to fly into Cleveland for a weekend?" Can I fly into Cleveland that week?
The best thing to do in Cleveland during that time is to leave Cleveland and I go somewhere else. That's like say, hey, what do you guys do in Cleveland? During this time, well, we go somewhere else. We go to a place other than Cleveland.
Cheaper though. Boston's so expensive.
Boston is expensive, but Boston and Salem, I am in love with both of those towns. I don't know what it is, but Boston, Salem, I absolutely love them. I go multiple times a year. I've only been once this year, but I go multiple times a year. I absolutely love it. I love the vibe. I love the traffic. I mean, the traffic in Boston, it makes me feel alive. Like when I drive in Cleveland, it's like, all right. But in Boston, I feel like it's Grand Theft Auto, man. I mean, just like, yes! Ah! It's so much fun. All right, we got to get out of here. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm going off on a tangent. All right. So that is it. We are done. We are gone. We are out of here. Thanks again for joining us. I know you could be anywhere else right now doing anything else, but you made the choice to come and hang out with us. Follow you. Once again, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Crash, I appreciate you. So check them both out. And, of course, follow us everywhere at the SWS Show. And, as always, a tip of the hat to our veterans and active service members who are out there doing what they do for those who have sacrificed for our country and for those who have sacrificed for others and made that sacrifice for us. We appreciate you. So that's it. Anybody have anything else before we head out?
No, I think we've covered it.
No? All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's it. That's going to be it. Thanks again for joining us, everyone. And remember, as always, if no one does anything nice for you, do something nice to yourself. And we're going to see you next week. Bye. I have to push this again.